Fear Files is a complete standalone expansion pack series that combines the award-winning Fear Extraction Point and Fear Perseus Mandate together in one box. Experience new weapons, new enemies, new missions, and brand new multiplayer maps. It's twice the fear in one box.
Hello and welcome to GFW Radio. This is Jeff Green. This is the podcast for January 30th, 2008. I am chuckling because I was going to say games for Steam, the official podcast, and I wimped out because I'm a chicken and I don't want to lose my job.
You thought it was funny?
I thought it was funny.
To yourself, anyway.
To myself. That'd be great if I did that. Hi, everyone. Introduce yourselves.
This is Ryan Scott.
Sean Elliott. Sean Malloy.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm feeling very mellow today because I was on a yoga weekend. So I'm feeling very relaxed. I might go into a couple of poses while we talk, so don't be alarmed if I do that.
Downward dog, Jeff.
Yeah. I'll be doing that one later. But I wanted to I don't know why I wanted to tell one little story before we get into it about which I think I told a couple of you. Because on day 2 of this yoga weekend, which was up in Northern California, it was very kind of hippie-ish sort of, kind of Buddhist-y, touchy-feely environment thing. And very nice people, though. And I went because my wife forced me to. Made me log out of WoW. And
As opposed to all those mean Buddhists.
Yeah, they can be a pretty aggro bunch, those
it's
Buddhists.
Like Buddhists do yoga?
Sure they do.
Right.
Oh, yeah. They get the whole, chakra thing going on.
Mixing it up.
Yeah.
It wasn't
cross-pollinating.
like tantric yoga or anything, right?
No, it wasn't anything like that. It wasn't anything you would see in Second Life.
Okay.
But anyway, so at one point we were doing yoga for a while, and I was getting hot, so I had on 2 shirts, and I took one of them off, and the shirt underneath was a WoW shirt, an Alliance T-shirt. So it said Alliance at the top in big letters, and then it has like the coat of arms of the Alliance, right? Which is just a sort of, whatever. I forget what it looks like. It looks like a coat of arms anyway. And so there's a break, and the yoga teacher, who's this very sweet woman, but super, new agey, yoga type, would as far away from our world as could possibly be, came up and said, "Tell me the story of this T-shirt of yours. It's just so beautiful. What's going on here?"
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like,
She wasn't commenting on the implied aggression, the swords and whatever.
Alliance? No, it was like Alliance. It was probably like World Harmony or something. So it was just like it was like.
So what'd you tell her? Did you?
Well, see, the Alliance is
It's another
dwarves and gnomes and humans who are fighting the Burning Legion and the orcs.
Did you tell her this?
Fuck no.
when Archimond came to destroy the World Tree in Ordrassil.
That's what I should have done. I should have blown her mind with some WoW lore.
It would have probably sounded made perfect sense to her.
Yeah.
The World Tree.
The World Tree, yes.
They were
See, it all started in the ether storm or nether storm. That's what it is. Not
twisting
ether.
nether.
The twisting nether.
Pull out an ad in the learning annex and start your own seminar on healing through Alliance learning.
You see, 10,000 years before the Night Elves settled on Azeroth. Yeah, so it would have blown her mind. I never learned this. Ram Dass never taught me this. Anyway, that was my story. I told her, it's from some...
What was her reaction?
I told her it was from some game. I'm in the gaming industry. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry I asked.
Well, now you know better than to wear that to a yoga retreat.
Next time
Did you even know you had
I'll
it
wear
on?
like a GTA shirt.
Were you aware that you were wearing that shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked because I had a friend in college who was never aware of what he was wearing. To the point that, like, he would just, I would assume he would have shirts in his closet. He would just grab one and put it on. And then, one was for some local auto body shop. Or not local, but, I figured he knew where it was from. So we're all walking down to the Commons to go get some lunch with our food bucks. And so I just started saying how, it would be nice if I had the weekend off, but I got to go out, whatever, to like San Pedro and get my car fixed. Basically just reading off his shirt to him. And he's like, "No way. You been to San Pedro or wherever it was. I'm just making something up. It's like, yeah, I get all my auto body work done there. And it's just like, we walked the whole way and it's none the wiser. That's how I'm naming it. I'm going, oh, yeah, I'm going to Ray's Auto Works or whatever it is, you know? So I just wonder if you're like that guy.
I remember. Back. Every once in a while, I wear my. I have a blue Sim City shirt that's like it says SCPD. It's got a big badge right in the center, huge badge, and it says SCPD in big block white letters, Sim City Police Department. And one time, I was at the Berkeley Marina with my family and walking my dog, and this dude came up to me to like ask me a question as if I was a cop. And I like had no idea what the hell he was talking about. He was like,
"Great."
He was like, "Officer, I just was like wondering if like officer, like what?"
You should have
like looked at my shirt.
You should have responded
like,
in
you
sim language.
I've worn a red shirt to Target before
simoleons.
and had people ask me for help.
Really?
Because you know how their colors are like red and khaki pants. I didn't have the khakis on, but just because I had a red shirt on.
You should just like go down there and grief Target, like wear those color clothes.
Wear their uniform, yeah, go around. And then people are like, "Can you help me lift this?"
No, fuck you.
Yeah. By any chance, are your
Pick
game
it up
shirts?
yourself, fat ass.
Are the collars of your game shirts all stretched out like it looks like someone just grabbed the neckline with both hands and tried to rip the shirt right off your back?
Why are you asking that?
There's something with like nerds and shitty shirts that like they always have the collar, either that or it looks like they're Exeter from this what's that old sci-fi show?
Which one?
Something this planet Earth or something. This island Earth.
Okay.
And Exeter, he has this enormous like hydrocephalus cranium. So the shirts look like maybe that you had to pull the shirt down over that, and then by the time it got around to their neck,
it was permanently stretched.
It's like, that's something to look for, yeah. If you and then tucking those things into like sweatpants, shorts. I don't know, man.
I got so many of those shirts.
I'm a connoisseur of this kind of thing.
It's actually a bit of a problem to have to wear those out. I try not to too much.
Yeah.
Just if I have to take off the outer shirt and then I'm stuck with some like dumbass like flaming skull and I'm at some like one of my kids' school's meetings. I don't know. Just got to start dressing like a grown up. Anyway, I'll save this for my next off-site weekend yoga therapy session. I don't have to bore GFW Radio with problems with my T-shirts.
You could always turn them inside out. And burn them under there.
Yep.
I had a friend who did that all the time with like printed T-shirts. Like he went to work with a white one that was just turned inside out, like under his dress shirt.
Huh.
And it was very obvious. There was like a logo. You could see it like in the neckline. And it was like, are you sure you want to wear that?
That's
like
a little
that?
cheesy.
It was really cheesy.
Gross.
You used to not wear game logo shirts.
I still don't. I made I
unless they're from Valve
with the Team Fortress shirt because it didn't have logos all over it. It just had like decent illustration.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm. So you'll be a whore. You'll just be a classy whore. Is what you're saying,
right? Dude, but at least
you're
I'm
more like a call girl.
At least I like Team Fortress. You don't like the Sims Police Department?
No, I just wear them because they're shirts. I don't have to go buy shirts.
I want to do this thing. I'm still trying to convince. There's a connection here with like game tchotchkes. I'm trying to convince the game videos guys to do a segment on it, but I want to collect all of our old cloth maps from various collector's editions and do like a cloth diaper test with them. see which is the most absorbent. Someone's got to have a baby. Jen's got a baby.
There's a couple babies around here. Yeah.
You could just tie it around blue liquid.
Haven't I told the story about like giving a bunch of every once in a while I'll go through the closet and I'll get out all the game shirts I'm not wearing anymore and I'll bring them to the Goodwill. And then driving around Berkeley, I see them on like the day workers.
Really?
The guy standing on the corner, like, holy shit, it's a know.
That's sad. You also see like 1986 2K run shirts and stuff on people. Yeah. Mount Carmel speed climb.
All right. Well, so we talk about actual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We should do that. So, Sean, we're going to talk about the SteamWorks stuff, and I can let you just take that away because that was a pretty huge announcement today.
Well, first,
should we start off with
ruin the transition?
I ruined the transition. Okay, I'm giving away the transition first.
NPD figures for PC sales were recently released. We should have you should have those.
We do. I have the numbers in front of me. Which started off. I love our website. The article, the NPD number started off with, or the article started off with, "Is PC gaming dead?" Don't do that on our own fucking website. Stop it. If you work here at this site and you're listening to our podcast now, don't do that again. Okay? It's not dead. When we're recording our last podcast here, then you can type that again. Okay?
It wasn't a statement. It was a question.
Right. God. Oh, then it says, of course not, in boldface. But okay, then if it's not, then don't pose the rhetorical question. Dumb shits. Okay, anyway. I love you guys.
You're going to get in trouble. I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
All Jeff.
I said it. There, I said it. That's fine. We can have a meeting in my office later if you want. Okay. But anyway, the question was asked because, in fact, when the NPD released their numbers, it turns out that PC games in North America in 2007 earned $910.7 million. That is down from $970 million, I believe, in 2006. So a loss of $60 million in sales. And more important, when you compare that to console sales, that is there was $18.8 billion. That's billion dollars total in North America. Only 910.7 million of that coming from PC games. So that's 14% of all game sales, according to the MPD, were from PC at retail.
And those games are as follows.
Number one. Take a guess, Ryan.
World of Warcraft. The
World of
Burning Crusade.
There you go. 2.25 million. Number two. Take a guess, Ryan.
World of Warcraft.
Yes. To me, that's the most amazing thing on here, actually. 'Cause that's the
One
base,
and
that's
two
the
were-
base game.
And then what, 3 through
That's-
7 are like The Sims, right?
Not quite. World of Warcraft was 914,000, so actually significantly, according to MPD, the only game to break a million was World of Warcraft Burning Crusade, and that was 2.25 million. Then it goes way down to 900,000. Okay, then number three was Sims 2 Seasons expansion pack.
Seasons.
4 was Call of Duty 4. Bravo. Number 5 was Command & Conquer 3, Tiberium Wars. Number 4 was SimCity Deluxe, SimCity 4 Deluxe, which did that
Really?
even, that didn't even come out in 2007.
Came out in like 2003.
That's wacky. That's wacky
That's
talk.
the word.
And then and we're already down in the 200,000s here, and we're only at number 6. Number 7 was The Sims 2. Number 8 was Sims 2 Bon Voyage expansion pack. 9 was Age of Empires 3, holding tough. And rounding out the top 10 was Sims 2 Pets expansion pack. Okay, so of the top 10, you had numbers 1 and 2 were World of Warcraft, the expansion and the main game, and then numbers 2, 6, 7, 8, and 10, that's 5 of the 10, were all Sims related.
Mm-hmm.
The only games that were not WoW and Sims were Call of Duty 4, CNC, and Age of Empires.
And Age of Empires, again, came out, in 2005, and will run on
Correct.
On some pretty mediocre hardware. So
Yep.
that's another...
Correct. So that led to the usual, these numbers, lots of hand-wringing on both sides of the fence. Is PC gaming dead? No, it's not,
And
et cetera, et cetera.
The usual disclaimer that digital distribution accounts for a large number of PC game sales, and then furthermore that that's North America, and that international markets where PC will traditionally do much stronger, they need to be taken into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is running NPD stories on PC is easy because NPD numbers are accessible. So as much as we do complain, well, why not run the digital distribution numbers? We don't have them. They're not always all unified. People are getting their digital content from all over the place, from Game Taps and from Steam, sometimes directly from EA, sometimes from sites. Savage 2 just came out, for example. You can get it right from their site. So it would be nice. I think that's where you'd have the interesting and real stories if we could somehow convince, Valve is not going to give. They traditionally haven't provided figures for their games. It would be super fascinating to hear how well Team Fortress 2 and Portal and Episode 2 sold just this past year, as well as recurring sales. It's like Counter-Strike still has to be selling Source. And
Do we know why
individual...
it is that they don't release those numbers? Have they ever
I don't
said,
know.
given an official reason why they don't?
I don't know. This could be their own strategy. It's
Yep.
some business reason not to do it.
But it's weird because you want to assume, well, if you had good news, you would share it, right? Why would you keep it secreted if it was bad? But at the same time, we know for a fact that they claim over 14 million Steam users.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get those kind of numbers when people are only getting 100,000 copies of a game at a time. We know that Half-Life 2 did really well. I mean, companies seemed very, very happy with the way that worked for them. So maybe one of these days we can get it, or third parties can do it. Say, for example, like your THQ, it's up to them, and you have your game available on Steam. They have access to the sales.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically what months of the year, which weeks of the year they sold the most, when there were sudden bursts, which regions they sold in. So you can even see, I mean, if they put up like a front page thing on Steam announcing, hey, there's a discount, like Company Heroes and Opposing Fronts were offered together for like a reduced price. You get them both. They can look and see how much did the sales increase this week. Mm-hmm. Was it worth it for that placement on there and stuff like that? So it's super helpful. So Next Generation's website interviewed Valve's Doug Lombardi and then also Jason Holtman about the announcement that they're making their tools that they're calling SteamWorks available to any third party that wants them. According to this story, it means that for no charge, game makers can implement all or some of SteamWorks publishing and development tools, such as up-to-the-hour sales tracking, encryption system, auto-updating, territory control, voice chat, multiplayer matchmaking, social networking, including features such as achievements and development tools, including private betas and QA tools. So in all of that, voice chat, matchmaking, those seem like obviously attractive features to have, along with the sales stuff. Auto updating is great. It means that if you're going to patch your game, you don't have to worry about some people going to FileFront, and others going to FilePlanet, and others going to your game's official website, or finding out that they don't have a patch because they try to join a game and it kicks them back out of the game. It's just going to handle it all for you right there in the way that Steam has been doing for all the games, all of its Valve games, for so long.
The encryption thing seems huge too, right?
Right, and that's another way too. Another category where we don't hear Valve talking about how confident that they are in Steam's ability to prevent and discourage piracy. Mm-hmm. But it seems strong. I mean, there is that danger. If you're banned from Steam, that's a big loss for yourself. You're either going to have to cough up another credit card not because Steam costs money, but for, I don't know. Actually, you're going to lose access to potentially, right,
like
to all
banned
your
from
games.
life,
or from your own library.
Yeah.
So these are all good, and by giving them absolutely free to developers, even like from what I understand, even if they're not selling their stuff on Steam, they want you to. I mean, what Valve gets out of this is that ideally, the more content there is on Steam, the more people are going to use it, and that's our goal for them, just to use their service, right?
So theoretically, just if I understand it, a game developer could take SteamWorks here, implement all this, and actually not be part of Steam. Is that correct?
I'll have to get confirmation on that. That's
okay.
That's from my initial reading of the story. That's how I understood it. Mm-hmm. This is huge because it takes away a lot of extra and counterproductive labor away from the development process for studios. So every time you make a multiplayer game, it's like you've got to the nuts and bolts shit that you just want to worry about your game, not let's recreate a browser for the 5th time. Let's figure out another way to integrate voice chat, yet again. And these are exactly the same features that Games for Windows Live initiative is offering. Mm-hmm. So
the superior initiative, by the way, I should say.
So how am I supposed to respond to that? With Games for Windows Live, though, we've had all these rumors of, conditions, right? We don't know exactly how it works, but we know that there are conditions. They might be, it seemed, there was a lot of back and forth when we were trying to figure out with Gears of War for PC, for example, for Games for Windows, if it was Microsoft was saying, you can't let people run dedicated servers if you're going to do it this way. So then they could, they put a condition on them. They told Epic what they could and couldn't do. They also say you have to provide some enticement for gold membership, which you have to pay for. So while you can offer things for free in the silver package, you can't give them everything. You're going to have to withhold some content from them. Without any of these, stipulations and preconditions, you can do it now with Steam. Steam is
For free.
And they've got an enormous user base, 14 million. So it's yet again, it's difficult because it's, Valve over and over again, since the announcement of the Games for Windows initiative, has been just coming up and saying, oh yeah, we'll do something like that, but free, over and over again. We'll do achievements too,
And it's
free.
here, and it works already.
Yeah. So it's been, they're leading the way. I think it is a fantastic move on Valve's part. The other thing is, Doug Lombardi, again quoting from the story, he laughs, forget the NPD. You'll know down to the finest details how many games have sold every hour of the day, every day of the week, and that information is in real time. This is another good asset and resource for publishers, developers, everyone to have on that end.
It's kind of ironic, though, that they're touting that feature when they themselves never release anything. Here's our great tool in which you'll know exactly. Well, I guess no. He's saying that you will know.
They will know.
Not that you would share that information.
Publishers and developers.
But if they want to.
Right, if they wanted to share. That's true.
I'm surprised. I would like to hear it. I would like to hear, for example, how many copies Call of Duty sold,
On Steam.
This kind of thing, though, has got to upset. The only party I can imagine it upsetting, aside from like Games for Windows or direct competitors, would be retail. That could be another reason why they don't want. Maybe there's retail pressure. That doesn't explain Valve's reluctance to talk, but maybe Activision with Call of Duty.
Maybe, but then when you look at the retail numbers, how much is retail investing in PC gaming anyway?
In the first place, right?
Right.
To reiterate, also another quote from the story from Holtman is that it's important to realize that we're not going to become a certification house. It's still your game. You can do what you want with it, put it together how you want, use the pieces of SteamWorks that you want from us, and at the end of the day, you own the game, you own the updating path, and you own it when it comes out. We're not standing in your way. So that again, is just to reiterate the whole... that reads like a direct message to, hey, you listening, Microsoft guys?
Yeah, exactly.
We know that you've been in discussion with them because Microsoft has been approaching, all these other, publishers and stuff and saying, hey, let's get on board with us. This is what we have to offer you. And this is they're just being undercut by ostensibly a better offer.
You look at these two things on paper. You're a game developer. Why would you not go with SteamWorks at this point?
Yeah. So... It'll be interesting to see what happens. We're still waiting. I'm still waiting on Microsoft to do a few to sort out the whole tiered access with silver and gold. They should have made it free from the beginning, especially once the last time Valve sort of kind of undercut the deal was when they announced the Steam community. Mm-hmm. They said, "Oh, you like friends list and stuff? You like all that? You like clubs and calendar updates? Well, that's cool. We'll throw it in there for you. You got it."
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised it's taken this long to hear any news about that sort of thing from Microsoft. I've been expecting announcements of some big sweeping change like that.
Yeah, I feel like clearly they are in the dark here and woodshedding. I'm picturing long tables of execs around in a meeting room. I don't know, with slapping themselves with paddle balls or something, trying to figure out what the fuck to do now that Steam's done this.
You want to hear something. We've been wanting to hear about a Games for Windows Live Arcade for a long time. Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense. We know how when all the other things that do phenomenally well on PC platform are like casual games and stuff.
Yep.
It's take that library and put it on PC. Why don't we have that yet? I don't understand that. And all the kind of various incentives that you could do instead of, just be generous from the beginning. Announce, hey, Games for Windows Live Arcade, here's another reason for you to sign up. And then instead of it just being Shadowrun or Gears of War or whatever it is, create a number of reasons to get a wide variety of people hooked up to the network so that then they can, it's exactly what Valve is doing, so that they can see your range of products and services and become familiar with them that way, not just by having one thing now and then that comes out.
My Pony
and then when they do announce Games for Windows Live Arcade, if they do, throw a bunch of games. Let people, hey, here's a coupon. Pick 5 free games. Mm-hmm. Take them. Any 5 you want. Not here's Frogger Ghetto Edition. Do you want Pac-Man CE? Get that.
Right.
You want
Res.
Yeah, and
part of me is wondering if that is why it's taking so long, because this maybe maybe I'm being too generous to them, but like maybe they realized that they came out of the gate so weakly from the beginning. They're like, okay, if we're going to do this next big step, we got to make sure we've got everything lined up. And it's such a daunting task to line up all of that.
Right.
Yeah,
those
that's
disparate parts
the
of
hope
PC
that
gaming.
I'm holding on to here. That they have been quiet because when they come out, they're going to have some awesome, great, lineup of services. Yeah,
all at once
the
instead of just
GFW Live will be
trickling.
free. There's going to be, all the arcade stuff. Monkeys may fly out of Ryan's butt.
Get examples from elsewhere too. Have it where you can download, put in video recorder, like this sort of unified games for Windows video recorder, like gameplay recorder option, so that you can just send it to everyone on your friends list. You have like a MySpace page equivalent, and you can trade videos directly, look at each other's achievements as you can on live already, but just like, go all out with it. Yeah, maybe these things are in the works, maybe not. I hope so. I certainly hope they are.
I hope so too.
We all
I don't know if I believe myself, but it'd be nice.
All those things that Valve does, the free weekends, they'll just make a game available to everyone for a weekend. Try it, see what you think.
And like the guest passes.
Guest
and stuff
passes,
like that.
yeah. You buy it and you're trying to get your friend into it. It's like, well, here, play. You get to play it for a day, and then hopefully you'll get sprung on it. It's like not being so afraid. Well, but that means they're playing for free. We can't have them playing for free for 8 hours, because that means they're. That whole mentality, it's got to go.
It's common business practice.
It's not even just PC, but especially like now, like so much stuff is for free. You can get so many products and services and digital products for free. So, yeah, it's going to be even worse. Like if Google, as all these, sort of forecast that the operating systems we use and the tools like, word processors and stuff will all just be based online through Google and things like that, and then made free that way, then the trend will continue, and you'll just look like a dinosaur trying to get $9.99 for some like shitty game that is it's fun to play for 20 minutes and remember, hey, that was kind of cool back when.
Yeah. Well, it was a huge announcement, and yeah, like you said, once again, Valve leading the way. They're amazing.
On the Valve note, I found out this week that Ryan, dirty little secret.
Oh, here it comes.
He got online with Rory, who freelances for us, a friend of mine, and talk about him a lot. And he told him, let's go into Team Fortress 2 and let me shoot you in the head because I'm trying to get achievements.
What?
Oh, my God.
And you know what? Let me just say that right after I said this to him, the very next thing I said was, I have a feeling this is going to come back to bite me on the next podcast.
Of course it would. The moment you uttered it to him,
So did he do it?
Yeah. Now you can get him back. Did he do it? Because then I could make fun of him if
he said he would have, but he was doing something else at the time.
He was just being polite, man.
Wait, you wanted him to stand there so you could shoot him in the head so you could get achievement?
You're like what are you gonna gloat? Headshot, bitch! Boom!
There's an achievement where it's like get 25 headshots.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have that achievement yet.
So you wanted that achievement so badly that you were going to cheat to get it?
Because ill-gotten gain, man. It was like buying a certificate of participation.
There's no way I could do that for
Junior
real.
Olympics.
So why do you need it?
Because there's only 3 achievements on my list left, and then they're all unlocked.
It's that OCD thing again.
OCD thing.
Yeah.
Shit is sad. Well, you will be happy to know that I'm right here in my hands. I'm holding a spoiler list of the forthcoming Team Fortress 2 achievements.
Oh,
See,
no,
so you're not
Ryan.
even done now. Now it's not just
So
3.
you have more. It's a never-ending.
Now, see, with these, I'll have a
cycle.
reason because you actually unlock stuff with these achievements.
So these are brand new. This is
They
world
will be
exclusive.
implemented soon. This
Okay.
is it's not world exclusive. I'll give you the source in a second. So
We
one
need
of them,
some
I'm just
world
going to give you some
exclusive music
examples
here,
of
though.
some of the things that people can look forward to.
exclusive.
There's hypochondriac, and that's to continually call for a medic when you have no need of one.
That'll be easy.
That's awesome.
There's the
What?
fairground fairground sights, and that's to completely miss a heavy as a sniper.
That'll be easy too.
There's the engraved invitation, and that's to get killed while holding on to an Uber charge. Conspiracy theorists use the flamethrower on every one of your teammates without finding an enemy spy. And we have fuck this shit,
What?
and that's you have to rage quit to get it.
How do you wait?
and then
how
also-
do they monitor that?
That's not real.
Also, can I get the door for you? You endure a marked increase in non-game related team chatter once a female voice is heard over voice chat.
Okay. I was,
Okay,
I was
yeah.
slowly getting more suspicious
Right.
here.
Hold on. Throw another shrimp on the Barbie. Select a sniper class when your team already has 2 or more snipers. And then the master of disguise. Use a teleporter as a spy. Okay, so no, these actually come from somethingawful.com's
Okay.
awesome story. Team Fortress 2 achievements anyone can get. They're all fake, of course, in the Something Awful
You had us
tradition.
going there.
I just figured I'd
I was
get
thinking
Ryan
those seemed
excited.
awfully easy.
And awful good.
Yeah.
I was actually mad about that first one for a second. I'm like, that sounds horrible.
The medic one?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want people doing that. That's why I
do
hate
that all the
achievements, damn it. Oh,
I do
it's a
that all the
joke.
time.
There's tons more on there. I only read a few, the ones that I found especially exciting.
So,
I
Ryan, I bet you know right off the top of your head which 2 other achievements besides this headshot one you're missing.
I'm missing the one where you have to kill 10 targets with the same turret.
Okay.
And
The bang on your sentry gun with the wrench award.
well,
Couldn't you just set up a server to go do that one?
you have to have another person help you because you have to actually
Oh,
kill.
so you have to
Rory.
rope in some sucker.
Which
who's
is why I
willing
needed
to-
Rory to help
It's
me with
worse
the
than
headshot
shooting
one.
yourself in the foot and asking for a Purple Heart, man.
You get one of the.
You don't even have like that gamer score. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have the
Yeah, it's
Xbox
true.
360 like
You're
giant
right, Sean.
telly.
This is as bad as that.
You should get one of the OneUp.com interns to do it. Like it's like some work-related thing.
That's a service people, I wonder if they haven't done it already. Maybe someone will try it
Oh,
on my
yeah.
recommendation.
Well, now it's like
Charge
right-
people, yeah.
I
say-
can probably log on tomorrow, and people on my friends list will be
be an
offering.
achievement mule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like try,
Achievement mule.
yeah, make a mule. I get the term from like drug runners who will like eat like a bag of cocaine and crap it out when they get off the plane.
shot in the head 10 times.
Yeah, then you go in there for Ryan and charge him a couple bucks or Linden's Second Life money.
What the hell?
Ryan will accept those.
I'm
I
paying
wonder
for
how much.
this.
This is kind of a 360 tangent, but I wonder how much extra sales are accounted for simply because there's games that are notorious for having really easy achievements, like finish level 1 or
Right.
like, hit one
Yeah,
guy on the
sure.
head.
Oh no! All the
And
all the
like, I
cheap
wonder how
ones
many
know
sales are
about those.
there just because people like read somewhere that like, yeah, Ninja Turtles for 360 has the easiest achievements, and they just want to get their gamer score up, so they'll go buy Ninja Turtle.
That shit is sad.
That's
This is
sad,
kind of maybe
yeah.
this is also coming back because I know on last week's one of yours she was talking about it.
About
as
achievements?
he often does because he is completely irrationally
Is he a
addicted.
achievement whore?
Well, I saw him on I saw him
Call
on,
girl.
on MSN because it will show people that are on Xbox Live on there.
Yeah.
And he was like playing Godfather 360. It's like, oh, I wonder what that's about.
Oh yeah.
He was just like, you know what, this Godfather is a good game. I've been meaning to finish it.
And you're like,
And
you've
then-
been
or
meaning to
just-
get achievements.
Yeah. So this my stance on that. It's I don't know. It's sort of an interesting.
I like getting achievements
psychological
when
trait, but-
I get them, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play a game to get achievements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they come, if I get them, if I'm playing the game, and
Right.
then all of a sudden the game tells me you just got 20 points for whatever, I'm like, all right, that's okay.
Well, we're certainly in the minority.
We are. That's
Um,
for sure.
As achievements are increasingly driving, not game sales like you're talking about with crappy games, but they're influencing the way that games are made. COD4, part of it's
Very true.
maybe the sales too. I mean, loaded up with them. Battlefield Heroes, which we'll talk about soon. Same thing there. You get something every time you play. You feel like your computer's patting you on the back.
I guess, yeah. Get
You
another
get that little-
pellet.
For a poop sock well filled.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about
The
this
hush
anymore.
falls over the podcast.
We talked
Any,
about this too much.
we could we can
When we
when I hit up some of the stuff that we've been playing, we've got some variety there.
We do.
well, I've been playing Sins of a Solar Empire for review, but I don't know if I can talk about it yet. So I think we're going to save that for next week. So why did I bring it up?
Because I wanted to say Sins of MC Solar's Rap Empire.
Oh, that's why I brought it up. Thank you. So we'll
I'm
continue
impressed
that
you know
discussion
who
next week.
MC Solar is.
Like MC Solar was on the Gangstar record. That's how AKA Guru.
Really?
MC Solar was on there. Yeah, I got a few French hip hop tracks in my
Okay.
iTunes. Picked them up off some random parkour video. Free running.
J'aime le rap français. C'est très bon. Okay.
The hell kind of accent is that?
Yeah.
So Sins of a Solar Empire. Yeah, I guess maybe we have to talk about that next week.
Yeah, but I was
Because of our
the other
embargo.
thing I played. I actually played this on PS3. I'll tell you that right now. Is the demo for The Club, which is a game that was like just so not even on my radar. I was like, okay, so it's some guys with some guns and they run around.
It's named
shooting.
after alcoholic cocktails sold in the can. You know what I'm talking about? Heck, a Club. You seen those?
No.
Club, dude, come on, man. You never been to a liquor store? There's like a dry martini or a margarita in a can.
Really?
The brand, the Club.
Ugh.
Wow. I guess you guys have never been to a liquor store.
No.
Considering that there's like
Not like
20 of them
Huh.
within a square mile of where we both live. Get lottery tickets there,
That's
man.
how it works, yeah.
Play my scratch offs. I get about 25 a
Lottery
day.
tickets. Are we
You
not
do?
paying you
Wow.
enough?
No. If I could play a lottery. So Club.
So the club?
So yeah, it's coming out for PC too. That's why we're bringing this up. But it's weird because we always talk about shooter design and like how big flashing arrows on the ground are ridiculous, and how like people who are coming around the same corner every single time, it's ridiculous. But this is like what this game is all about, and it just openly acknowledges it and says that's what this game is all about. You have to memorize this course basically
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, it's like a shooting gallery, and like try to get your score really high. And
Mhm.
it's purely like that
Sounds like Perfect Dark.
Pac-Man mentality, where you're just trying to like get headshots and time everything right, and you have to, you know, that you want to turn over to the left here because there's the skull icon here, and you only have 5 seconds before your next target pops out, and you have to refresh your timer. It's totally that, and I was obsessed over it. So you just replay like these
That's like
5-minute levels over and over again, trying to like just get better and better at it. And it's stupid.
But like Pac-Man is the flattering way to go around it. Like Che, who used to work at One Up, he's now working with the Forza team. He had the same sort of way of justifying Perfect Dark Zero when it came out and why he liked it. But it was always interesting to me that, again, it comes back to like the comparisons will be Contra or Pac-Man or these other games that we all agree on. But for me, it's like, you remember Mad Dog McCree? You
Yes,
remember
I do.
like Who Shot Johnny Rock?
I do.
Like you're describing that to me.
I am describing
far
that
more
too.
than you're describing,
I
Pac-Man.
think the key was that this one for some reason had whatever it was that hooked me, and I don't know what the difference is between that and the shitty version of this, but it was one of those download on a whim things, and I was like, oh, let's try this one out. I also downloaded Turok.
Oh, how's that?
It's bad
Once again,
because there's no score.
that's really it. None of this like shoot a guy so that he's bleeding and then maybe a dinosaur will run out and get him.
Because I guess the hook was that you could shoot flares at things, like at people, to like direct a dinosaur towards them. Most of the time,
It's
it didn't
basically
seem to work
so it's like
anything.
bug bait in Half-Life 2.
Kinda.
Turok, man. Hope springs eternal though. There was like so many threads about how Turok was going to be good.
That whole franchise is I don't get it. It's over my head.
It was always like shit. It was kind of like at the time when the original one came out for N64. It was like one of the. Did that come out before GoldenEye? It did. Yeah,
But yeah, that was like the first
it was
N64
like the first
game to use
FPS.
FPS controls in that funky way.
So
But it was funky, wasn't it? Like in what you just said.
it was just
Is it
shitty.
funky? You said it's funky. Is it funky?
Imagine.
I just remember
That's
more
more
fresh. The direction, the D-pad.
Yeah,
was
using the
weird or
D-pad in the capacity of a mouse or
Yeah.
a right analog stick, and then having platforming sequences that are like as technical as anything in the original Half-Life. I don't know how. I know how because I was young.
Mm-hmm.
How I stuck with it.
I stuck with it too.
I beat that game.
So did I. I mean, looking
Yeah,
back,
shit again.
it's stupid, but but at the time, it was kind of like, wow, I can play this on my console, and it actually kind of works. Doesn't really work. I mean, we played GoldenEye to death too, and it had,
Yeah,
and that's certainly not.
but it didn't have like platforming.
Well, no, that's true.
Not along those lines.
How'd we get to here?
Because I also downloaded the Turok.
All right.
It's out on
Turok.
PC.
And it just made me want to try both on the PC. Well, maybe not Turok, but the other one on the PC, because the PS3 controller is even worse than the Xbox 360 controller for shooters. I mean, neither one of them is good, but the PS3 one is just like
It's a huge deterrent
abysmal.
for me for that genre of game on that system, because the sticks I think come up, they're a little longer, and that causes them to
They're looser to me.
they're longer and looser, and then of course they have the nub instead of a thumb cup.
Like with the
Those
360
things
controller in
combined-
Halo, like I can It takes a little longer to get a precise shot, but I can do it. Like with the PS3 one, I just feel like I'm all over the place.
I really don't like it. Yeah, and it immediately gives this feel to the entire experience that sort of cheapens the whole thing for me. I felt that way when I tried to play Resistance for PS3, and yeah, it's just it just feels flimsy and cheesy. And even though it's very much just a controller, it's not the game. It's not the hardware or anything. It's just I can't get over it. I've always given the option, especially in the PS2, Xbox One era, between playing a shooter on either one of those controllers. I always preferred the Xbox One, outside of the one that was the giant, enormous, underground rapper. I think it was. I'm going to get it wrong. It was either AC Alone or Murs, called the Malcolm Xbox, because he was convinced that the original controller was made for his hands, being a very large-handed black man. Outside of that controller, I liked it.
That was the most gigantic controller ever.
That was the most ridiculous controller ever. Outside, well, no, it wasn't. It was up there with like the Atari Jaguar.
I got small hands, and I remember feeling like a kid holding that thing. It was so big.
And there was a combination of the button layout, the oval, vertically oriented oval buttons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that just was horrible, and the sticks, the placement, the whole thing was just gross.
Mm-hmm. And the box itself, the Xbox itself was kind of
a stupid-ass looking thing. Yeah, that's true.
What else can we bash on Microsoft this week? Are you guys interested in No More Heroes, by the way?
Very.
I was just thinking about that in terms of controllers, and
I tried looking for it this weekend, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd like to try it. I'm skeptical because I know it's the guys who made Killer 7, which stylistically was really cool. The game, I ended up, when I played that game, anyone else here play it?
Mm-hmm.
I did not. No.
I thought it was like this concept piece, and the whole thing was there to prove that no matter what you do with an interface, people can figure a game out. No matter how physically and visually bizarre a game is, and just no matter how completely unintelligible it seems, if the interface and the basic move set is familiar to you, you can figure anything out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was like, well, they proved that point, but it was like, yeah, but it's boring and annoying, I don't know. I mean,
right. I mean, the game was mostly about seeing what crazy shit's next. It wasn't about the...
Yeah. So maybe it did have some really, some kind of disturbing and had some cool qualities to it,
Mm-hmm.
But the game, the way that the game played itself.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and Endless Ocean too. Thinking about, is that what that's called? Am I getting the name wrong?
See, there's another one where there's no game there.
Yeah,
but that still sounds compelling.
I'm
to me.
okay with that.
It's like, you just roam
Ocean.
around.
There's this big on the gaming age forums, the big blowback for something I guess Crispin said. The EGM decided that they weren't going to review it, that they'd do a wrap up on it because it wasn't a game or something. I didn't even read the original story, so I can't say. And everyone's freaking out, and it becomes just the latest case to crusade and say how wrong people who write about games for a living are and stuff. But the funny thing to point out there is that on the other hand, you have these people saying how forward thinking and revolutionary it is. And of course, the first thing when I read it, I was like, oh shit, it had been so long ago that I'd played the game that I forgot what it was called. I wasn't thinking of like Everblue and stuff, but rather
it was Aquanaut's Holiday. I was about to say it sounds exactly like that.
And I remember renting that.
Echo the Dolphin is what I thought of immediately.
No, Aquanaut's Holiday is the same thing. It was just you are exploring the ocean. There's nothing else to it.
Right.
Echo the Dolphin is very much
that's a game.
An action
there was
game
game
translated into like an aquatic medium.
Right.
Whereas like
that game
Aquanaut's Holiday is about diving down, and if you see a shell, just taking a look at it. Having a look at the
so
shell.
that sounds exactly like
it was exactly the same,
right,
except not nearly as nice looking because it was PS1
at the time. Yeah, at the time it was cool because the whole 3D at the time, when like jumping Jack Flash,
Jumping Flash
came out, and it was like it was a 3D game at a time when 3D was such a novelty. It was like, this is cool.
Same with the first Warhawk.
Yeah, and all those games. Toshinden, that pretty much.
Oh my god, I love Toshinden.
That's why I think I've done this flip on like I've been playing my DS a lot more than PSP. I haven't turned my PSP on in a long time, and I sort of anticipated this at the time when PSP hardware came out. It was that it's state of the art for a handheld, but it's like the epitome of first gen 3D graphics stuff, and like almost all those.
I've played
games,
2 things ever on my PSP. One is Lumines, and the other is fucking the Spider-Man movie that came on the UMD that came with the thing.
Right.
That's all I've ever played.
Those 2.
Yeah.
Well, the Lumines is great.
Yeah, but I didn't need a dedicated
there's good
Lumines
software
machine
for PSP for sure, but
Now
I think
there
a
is,
lot
yeah.
of it is crap, and I think just because we're still seeing really nice 3D games, it's easier to look at a quality 2D game on a DS. And I know DS does do 3D as well, but to look at it and say that's great, it doesn't, because things never really got that much further beyond this point outside of like Guilty Gear and stuff, that looks great. Whereas now you look at a shoddy PC thing that, although impressive technically for the technological constraints of a handheld platform, like, it still looks like butt.
Yeah.
On the handheld note, I did pick up Phantom Hourglass finally, and that was interesting to be able to get a Zelda game this late. I mean, because it's been out for a long time, right? And traditionally, for me, Zelda would be like the first thing you get when it comes out. Did you pre-order it? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me, the whole experience of playing the Zelda game so far has reminded me. It's making me want to look at it through the comic book lens yet again. And I tend to do that a lot. Not just me, but a lot of us look at things through the comic book lens. And in this case, it's like, you have these periods when you go to the comic store every week and you have to get something. And then you get past it, and then you say, well, I don't have to do that, and maybe I'll go once every 4 months or something, and I'll check out the trade paperbacks and things. And so with console games now, because I don't write about them so often, that's where I'm at. I mean, go into the comic store once every 4 months, find the very best things, and be like, oh, cool. There's like a sequel to Dark Knight or whatever, like that sounds cool. And whereas, before when I worked at EGM or something, it's like play console games all the time, play them at the moment they come out. So that was nice to take it back and be like, you know what? Just add to the blue. I'm going home tonight with a new Zelda game. That's cool. It wasn't like this long wait for it and get it that moment. Then the other comic book lens aspect is just the fact that Zelda, it's so much like Batman in a way that this story is told over and over again. How many times have you read or viewed the Batman origin story?
Oh, right.
Some iteration of it, like in Batman Begins, the movie just came out. There's yet another take on it. There's another set of artists on it. It's going to look differently, but you're still waiting for the point when he gets his Batarang and his utility belt and what's in it. Yep. Zelda is going to get his boomerang and some other tricks for his utility belt, you don't see, like with so many other series, there's always, here's a sequel or whatever, or a prequel or something, and it's like, it's just so unapologetically like, yeah, here's they'll reference it, there's this weird embedded dream theme too, where it's like this Zelda adventure is like some kind of a dream of another one, and then in the sequel the other characters allude to that thing, but then only like when you start off Phantom Hourglass, it starts retelling the story of what was the subtitle for the GameCube Zelda? The Wind Waker.
Wind Waker.
It starts telling that story, and you're like, oh, this is a sequel to Wind Waker. And then the guy's like, just kidding. And it turns out he has some storybook, and then the Tetra, who's supposed to, discovered is actually Princess Zelda, comes out and goes like, all right, enough with the dumb stories and stuff. And it's like a weird way of acknowledging that these things exist, but no, really, we're just going to start this all over again. Just reminded me a lot, not just Batman, but so many, comic book stories where I think I'm sick of hearing about Batman's origin story at this point, but
right
now and
it's
then
actually disappointing if they like break from the mold too. Like,
well, you kind of,
where's my claw hook?
No, you wait for like
right.
in the Batman stories. I mean, it's always sort of important. Like, how are they going to forget to do the necklace falling off her off her neck when the muggers come? Those are like iconic moments.
Right,
you have to experience. Right,
but the villains
and there's some joy in
stuff,
actually.
Though.
That's true.
Like
who's doing what?
It is, yeah. Like, even also like the oral storytelling tradition before these, where there's something that people enjoy in knowing the general contours of the story.
Sure.
And it's like, what are you going to do? Jazzy also, making too many analogies here, but like where, I'm familiar with enough of this, and then the interesting stuff's going to be on how you tweak it. While keeping the underlying framework the same and hitting those points where you get the boomerang and you hold it up over your head, or the bead falls off, or when Batman first drives out of a cave in the Batmobile, and
right, and like in Zelda, like they always introduce the main villain, and it's never Ganon. But of course, as soon as you see him, you're like, he's going to be Ganon.
He's gonna
every time.
Well, I felt that way playing Super Mario Galaxy too. Like, they hit. I mean, you're right. Maybe there's more to draw upon in Zelda, but still in Mario, the same. Wow, it's this plot yet again.
Right.
But there's something very nice about that. There's something like, it's just like this unabashed. Here's we're telling this story again this way now.
It's exactly Nintendo's. It's just the way they've been doing it. I played some Universe at War. Not so much. I just started doing some of the campaign, and my response there was like, "Oh, this is cool." There might be Universe at War is Sega's RTS. It has by Petroglyph. Yeah, it has three wildly
unique
different
factions,
which is pretty much the norm. I mean, if it's not 3, maybe it's 11. Like that's where Dawn of War's at.
They're up to
nowadays.
11, yeah.
Yeah, actually, with the latest expansion, Dawn of War's up to 11.
Soulstorm.
9.
Yeah.
11's better than 3. Don't forget.
It is.
It's more. It's 8 more.
I know. It comes to a point where you wonder. Like I even playing Company Heroes, and there's 4 factions at this point. There's 3 of them that I play. 2 of them that I play with total confidence. 1 I feel kind of nervous of, and the other where I just I still have yet to learn it. So God, you got to wonder when you got 11. Not only that, but what you have to rebalance the game every single time.
Yep.
So Universe at War, I like the concepts. When you see a walker come out and you're like, oh, it's got all these hard points on it that you can upgrade with individual weapons and things like this.
Right, or you can put a unit producing pod on there instead.
Yeah, and all that stuff looked cool. But then as I'm playing it, the first thing I noticed is, every time you click on a unit, you hear something like annoying and dumb. It makes you not want to click on a unit anymore.
What do you mean, like a sound
I am
effect?
like an arrow through time.
Yeah, the guy is
talks to you?
Well, whenever same with Warcraft, you click on him and it goes Zug Zug or whatever. And then,
But instead of that, imagine
there's a template to
wrote
these
it down,
things,
but the stuff they say is annoying and dumb, and that immediately turned my mind back to Company Heroes. I was like, wow, the sound is so good in Company Heroes. You never shut up. Instead, you're like, I know you can hear creaking wheels coming, and you can tell the difference between the type of half track it's coming or the type of tank, or if it's a Goliath or something. The things the guys say are cool. I mean, they swear a lot, but it's got a good vibe to it. You can imagine, soldiers talk. So I kept playing, and then I absolutely found myself it wasn't fair for the game because I'm so adapted to Company Heroes now, but it reminded me a lot of when Soul Calibur 1 came out, and at the time I knew Tekken was good, and I like Virtua Fighter as well, but I was so into the way that the 8-way run, which is basically using the entire 3D surface when you're fighting, rather than just to essentially fighting on a 2D plane and being able to sidestep now and then, which is how it's long worked in Tekken and Virtua Fighter, especially at the point when Soul Calibur came out. And then the guard impact system, their solution to parrying, rather than just reversals and stuff like that. And at the time when I played it, it was all about Soul Calibur. It was like, shit, I would love it if they made Tekken and it's basically Tekken but with Soul Calibur that plays like Soul Calibur. I'd love that. So now, being so into Company Heroes, and other people have told me, and I've talked before about how I didn't have the biggest frame of reference for other RTSs to say exactly if someone's like, well, why is it so much better than this game? And now I'm starting to know, because I try and oh yeah, if they don't have these features, they seem bland and sort of archaic. And those would be that, you crank out a whole bunch of units, you just lasso them, put them into a command group, and then when you're going to fight, you just click on the other army, and whatever the rock paper scissors parameters and combined by the number of units, the discrepancy in population, it'll just sort itself out. Your robots will win the little aliens or something. Whereas in Company Heroes, even though there's a balance and it goes back and forth in so many ways, it's so much more complex in that you might have an anti-infantry vehicle, like a flak panzer. Anti-aircraft gun, you turn the guns toward the ground and shoot at infantry. It's great. Just rips them up. But it doesn't mean your infantry is just useless. You might have sticky bombs. You might have smoke grenades. Maybe you could pop a smoke grenade, run around the side, and throw sticky bombs on it. Or you could take cover, and then because you're positioned in cover, and it's not just it will have different, red for weak cover, yellow for decent, and green for great cover. But when you play long enough, you don't even pay attention to that. You can just tell. You're like, that looks like good cover. And sure enough, it always is. So you go there, use that, and then fight it out long enough to get something in there that can fight it, that can turn the tide. And then when you're fighting, the positioning of all the vehicles matters. It's not just this mob is fighting this mob. It's like, are you hitting it from the back, from the side? Can you get yourself an opportunity to hit it from the back by throwing something, by feigning in the front, and then working around it? So
there's
all that
certainly
detail.
other RTSs that have some of those features that you're talking about.
Well, Universe at War even had, like, when you're talking about, your infantry they don't become useless. I found myself building almost every type of thing the whole way through because, like, the Lost ones, which are just your little grunts, do have these bombs that are really useful for just, like, running in and committing suicide, but also blowing up a large thing. So they all had that. Even, like, the sentries, which are, I don't know if you tried the Masari, how far you got in it, but, like, it's a pretty early vehicle unit, but it has one of the few non-projectile weapons. It's like this focused laser beam, and there's a specific turret that the anime robots build. I'm blanking on their name.
Some of the powers like that were nice.
It's one of the few things that can destroy it because otherwise this turret hurls your projectiles back at you. So this is because it's a beam. So there's stuff like that. There's lots of little matchups like that. It does not have.
I have to keep
the
playing,
positional
to be
stuff.
fair,
It does not really have, like, what you're talking about. You never get to put units in, like, a building. There's none of the positional stuff you're talking about, though. That's very limited in that regard. The other element is, is this what you're going to say is a veterancy? How in how it turns basically every unit in the game into the equivalent of a hero? In Universe at War? In Company Heroes. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's none of that.
The longer you fight with every guy, well, depending on the army, they gain veterancy in different ways, but say, for example, you have some engineers, and if they're in the game the whole time and they get like level 3 veterancy, then they become super useful, and you never want to lose them. You always want to retreat them and heal them up and bring them back. And
you don't have that.
Makes you attached more to every single unit. You never feel that anything's expendable,
Yeah, they don't do that. I mean, you have 3 hero units that you can buy, but none of them really level up. And you have, like, tech trees where you level them up.
Dawn of War has always had the veterancy, and that, I think... No, the hero units in Warcraft 3 did, but I don't think the grunt units.
No, it was just the heroes.
Just the
in
heroes.
Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's where that idea came from.
But they took it to another level with making it more than just your hero units. So the other thing is the way resources are handled. Because, like, in the StarCraft kind of game, you have distinct maps are built with distinct, like, here is a gold mine, and we're going to build a little. The terrain around it is strategically designed to have like some skirmish over this gold mine, and this is going to be hard to defend this point because we have paths in these places. So Universe at War, you got 3 factions, and each one handles resources really differently. So you have one who just does the total annihilation thing. If you plop down an energy maker, and it just constantly generates energy, so you don't even have to worry about going to get these things. So if you're playing against like the Walker guys, the hierarchy, they just send out drones that just suck up everything, like scrap metal on the ground where there was a battle. So to me, there was every once in a while it would happen, but there was really no, like, other than the main bases, there was really no, like,
fight for specific
stuff.
areas,
territory. Right,
that's the territory grab just wasn't there
because it seems like all of those, despite them seeming different, all of their resource gathering for the factions in Universe at War are basically automatic. You just create an item, and it will then gather resources for you uniformly throughout the rest of the match, right?
For the hierarchy, you make these drones that you can set to just go auto-gather, and they'll go walk over to a house and suck it up, or they'll go walk over to people and suck it up. They can suck up people, whereas the anime robots, the Novus, thank you, they can only suck up, like, metal and raw material, and then, like, the other ones just don't suck up anything.
What do they do? What do they do for energy?
It was the total annihilation method. You build a building that just sits there and is inert and just generates it magically.
Okay.
It's not collecting from anything. It's
like
just
the
making
victory
it
point mode, Like, I mean, as long as you have to have, I mean, that's a huge thing. You don't want the whole game to be decided strictly on the basis of whether or not you possess the best points right away. But then,
that's
making them valuable, then you create these areas where, you can guarantee that people are going to want to fight there. And then, like, what happens in you have versions of it in Warcraft and in the Company Heroes. It'll be you can start setting up mines and camouflaging things in the area to set up ambushes and all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, I think that's always been one of the appeal of Relic's series, both the Company of Heroes games and the Dawn of War games, is that control point scheme of your resources multiplying by how much of the map you control, just quite obviously and naturally encourages you to go out there and not turtle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't win that way. So whereas RTSs in the past, there's quite a few where you could really just wall yourself in and just win by attrition.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
You know, we still see people that are clearly used to that model. Like Anthony and I just played a 2v2 in Company Heroes, and the opponents, we were like, why haven't we seen them anywhere? We were sitting there waiting at all the fuel and ammo points, like, okay, any day now, what are they doing? Are they going to hit us with some like
We're waiting for you to come out
tanks
and
when
get
we're
them.
still in our like light infantry phase or what? And they never appeared. So then we got all the way, you know, got full armies and go back to their base. And there's nothing but machine gun bunkers everywhere.
Sure.
And we're like, well, you got no ammo and you got no gas. You can't do anything but make machine gun bunkers. You can pour concrete, you know, and we're just going to like drive right through them with heavy tanks. And so, yes, people are used to that mode.
Well,
still.
and old games encourage it. I mean, like Age of Empires, if you set the win conditions a certain way, you know, you could win by creating a wonder, and you create a wonder by having this just obscene amount of resources, and the wonder would be like whatever, I don't remember now, like a Sphinx or something. And as soon as that thing was built,
could you make small
won.
wonder?
you win the whole game. So in a multiplayer game, you know, there was one guy at Computer Gaming World back in the day when we all used to play RTSs at work, and he was just a classic turtler. And we knew after a while, you know, because we would all fight amongst ourselves, and he would just be sitting there in his corner of the map, building wall after wall after wall, making it completely impossible to get in there. And then he would just be working on his wonder. And at some point, we'd all have to go, oh, fuck, get over there.
Yeah.
We got to start getting
Gotta
to him
stop
or
him.
he's
That
going
would
to win.
be fun. I do miss
That's
that
interesting.
because it's strictly like side versus side in Company Heroes, but the old Warcraft 2 thing, 3 might be the same way, where it's like you can ally up with someone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was cool. Then you could all 3 ally up and go
Oh, sure.
smash him, and then fight amongst yourselves afterward.
Right.
That's a whole element that, I mean, that's another huge part of DEF CON, Introversion's game.
Oh yeah, the
And
back and
that's the
forth
whole-
between like
the whole
betrayal
fun
and
of-
trust.
Yeah, it's a whole other element that's
It's
not
like
in.
right now you're my friend, but as soon as we're done with our little agenda here, that may all change. Yeah, the other for Universe of War, I actually had the most fun when I dropped the unit cap a bit, because I think it allows for more kind of back and forth and less people just hanging out waiting, because you can reach the unit cap pretty quickly, and then you're just like, well, I can't amass more army anymore, so I might as well use these guys to go do something. So,
Yeah.
and then if you lower it enough, you can actually like have some back and forth with the tactics. Like, okay, so this time they brought out these guys. I have enough time now to build up a small army to kind of counter what I think he might do next. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a little more fun than the big like max unit cap. Let's lasso my whole army and just
Ryan.
run them on over.
Sorry.
What?
We keep brushing, when you brush your microphones on our clothes, it makes a big, nasty.
I know.
Who's doing
I've been
it?
hearing a lot of those.
Ryan.
There's Ryan doing
Ryan
it.
doing it the whole
I
podcast.
probably
This is
have
contribution to the RTS discussion. What are the big RTSs coming up? I was just
StarCraft 2.
well, yeah, I guess
That's the biggest.
That's the biggest one.
Dawn of War 2.
Dawn of War 2 still unannounced, but we assume it's coming. So
We know it's coming.
right,
Got another 40K expansion coming
Soulstorm.
soon.
right. Soulstorm is coming very soon.
You know, World Shift recently announced. I expect to see more games along the lines of World Shift, and that's basically where you take an RTS and combine it with MMORPG conventions. You have co-op RTS campaigning where you gather, loot and items, and then you can take those, units and loot for your heroes and stuff, and play them competitively in RTS with other players.
I play that way a lot. Like, that's a very valid way to play, I think, because me and Keith will often team up on the same side and, comp stomping, basically. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that all RTSs, there's like no excuse for them not to have co-op campaigns. That was a real bummer for me. I still haven't played Company Heroes campaigns through, because they need co-op.
Mm-hmm.
And then they announced that they're making it for the Chinese version. Like, come on.
Oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear
They're
about
making.
that.
I'm waiting to hear more. I've been asking. I'm trying to get some details. It sounds basically like the Asian version of Company Heroes is going to be along these lines too. Combination of MMO and RTS.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, weird.
Sounds great too, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe they'll just release it free content over here. I don't know. Who knows? Another game I picked up, played Big Brain Academy. We Agree.
Really?
oh yeah.
I recommend it. It's all you got.
good
You all
stuff.
have Wii's, and for when you have family and friends over and stuff.
Yep. What kind of stuff?
It's a it's a great game for them.
I mean, like, what do you do?
A lot of sort of visual and spatial intelligence tests. But what would happen is, like, say if all four of us were playing, we each have our column, and there are going to be a battery of 16 tests, or you choose 20 or 10, however many, and we're trying to race through them and be the first to complete them all. So if you fail one, you just do it again, some other iteration. And some of them are pretty damn tricky, and they're actually very good. They're like, if the kind of things that would perfectly belong on an IQ test. And that might be to show if you have like a 3D model of, and you see it from the top down. Say there are like little toy cars going around this board, and there's slight differences to their shape or something. And then you have a view of it, of a camera view. And then you have to choose what that camera view is. Where is the camera situated that's letting you see what you're seeing in there? But of course, they pick something that's going to be very confusing because they all look almost exactly the same, and there's only, or it'll be upside down or something. And they're basically causing you, gauging your ability to take and immediately grasp what's happening there and rotate it in your mind and do all these different things with it. That could be one. Another would be they'll throw a bunch of balloons on screen, and there's numbers, negative numbers, positive numbers, and you're supposed to pop them in order from lowest to highest. But then that sounds very basic, but what they'll do is maybe like a 2 will be an enormous balloon, and a 48 will be a tiny balloon.
Yep.
And it's causing it's playing against two different tendencies of the human mind, and that's to associate the larger size with an increase in quantity. So you're trying to differentiate those two things, and they sound boring individually, but when you do them, it's actually more fun. I also got Raving Rabbids 2, and that's another kind of game where 4 people play, and you just do these quick, mini game type things. And I'm having a lot more fun with We Degree and I thought it would be the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's interesting. I mean, I was into Brain Age for a while for stupid reasons.
I was too.
I mean, it sounded even more limited than that because there were like only like how many games? 5 or so. But it was like
there are far more games than this.
The word red is blue, and your brain's like. But after a while, even those you quickly train yourself to like not pay attention to what they're trying to trick you with.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's got a lot more games like that. There's other multiplayer modes. There might be like a board, and you take turns picking the different sorts and seeing who can go the longest, and then you'll collect points for your turn. So like they'll throw like as many iterations of the increasing difficulty of a puzzle at you as possible, and say you accomplish 8 of them before you fail, then you'll get 8 points for your turn, and then it'll tally up the points at the end.
Okay,
you might have to trust because I kind of like Sean when you're talking about club, and we're all like,
yeah, I know.
But this isn't. I think especially you, Jeff, if you took it home and played it with your daughter.
Yeah, no, it sounds fun.
Well, we got Mario Party for that reason, like to play that kind of game with like 4 people around.
That's not a good game though,
and it's not good because they got the board aspect of it which is such a huge part of it, and takes so long. It's just dumb, and then it's like 15 seconds of the cool fun stuff, and then you're back to like 2 minutes of just like waiting for people to roll dice. And
that's always been the problem. If they took away all that bullshit and they just said, here's the mini games, and we're just going to throw them at you like WarioWare, and you guys all do these, because those are pretty fun, and that's what like Raving Rabbids is.
Yeah,
so you should get that instead.
I wouldn't even mind a board game if it wasn't so. Didn't dominate so much.
It takes way too long to watch the animations and to watch the die roll and the characters go around the board, and then at the end, only for them to undo the entire thing by throwing you. Oh well, here's like 5 other random things. Well, so even though you were ahead by 5 stars,
stepped on the most blue spaces? Oh, great. I win
like,
accidentally.
Why didn't we just like pick fucking straws from the beginning and just play some games and let us say at the end? It's
the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
No, it's the destination.
Oh,
I can ruin the journey.
Yeah.
No, I have that is a huge problem with games. There's a card game we had bought that had the same exact function. It was called Killer Bunnies, and that was like kind of fun. And then literally at the last turn, you all just roll a die to see who wins. It was like, wait, why did we play all of this? And it's like that can ruin a whole game design, that's
been the problem with that series for fucking ever from day one.
It's stupid.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that in that game. What was that game? Buzz it?
The Mega Quiz.
Well, the thing that I played with Shane.
The Mega Quiz.
That's it. Buzz the Mega Quiz with Shane and Mike Donahoe and Kathleen back for that 1-Up promo. That when it got to the end, there was some like ridiculous round where after all this, in which Shane had fairly legitimately gotten a lot more points than everybody else. Of course, he was kind of a weasel about it, but he did. He did legitimately get those points. At the very end, though, there were a couple rounds where it practically negated everything that happened until then.
Was he going crazy?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, they'll do that. And then
Game design, do's and don'ts.
That's before we go on to other now playing. It's like I got some time in with Savage 2. And
sorry, Sean, you were throwing me the look of like, do we need a break? We do need a break. Can you save Savage 2 for a post-break there, Mr. Elliott?
I can.
Excellent.
When we come back, Sean Elliott on Savage 2.
You are a member of a secondary fear team that is brought in to find more information regarding the secret project at Armacham. Expect the intensity of battle to continue in the second expansion pack to the critically acclaimed first-person shooter, Fear.
We're back. Took a little food break there, and Sean Elliott, such a nice guy, he was going to buy Ryan some gummy bears during the break, but they raised the fucking price of gummy bears.
Beat that me.
Bullshit.
Yet another reason to hate our snack machine.
There's a lot of reasons to hate our snack machine. There really are.
Dude, the snack machine's better than our soda machine.
Do a whole podcast about the snack situation.
What's with the soda machine? That
it has a delay.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting longer every day by like 5 seconds.
You were timing it that one day.
You walked into me timing it. Like
you were?
45 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, you put your money in, you hear the can drop, but then it doesn't come out of the machine. So you don't know if you're about to be fucked.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah, do I walk away?
It always comes out, though, eventually.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. I don't know what it's doing. Because I've, like, shoved my hand up there and stuff. Trying to, like, where is it? Where's my Coke?
Listeners should know, though, that Ryan Scott is the king of aggro on the candy machine.
God.
I was just about to say, like, you stick your hand in it, I just beat the hell out of it.
Yeah, when Ryan doesn't get his candy, the entire 8th floor in this building in downtown San Francisco knows it.
Hey, I'm not the only one. There are other people who flip out pretty bad at that.
I don't know if there's anybody who makes the whole fucking floor shake like you do.
I haven't done it in a while.
It's impressive.
I kind of realized I was taking it a little too far.
Yeah, didn't our boss, the esteemed Mr. Simon Cox, come out of his office at one point?
Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, because he walked by my office and he was like, "What the hell's going on in there?" I was like, "Oh, Brian's gonna get in trouble."
I think that's the point where I realized, like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore.
Sometimes you got to give it up, and leaving the shitty notes for the poor guy.
Ryan always writes these angry notes and tapes them to the.
No, you know what? No, I don't. I write creative notes. They're meant to be taken humorously. With, like, diagrams
Yeah,
and stuff.
you know, if that's your job and some guy's written some, like, fucking smart-ass note, I don't know if he's going to be taking it, you would take it humorously.
That's bad. That's as dick as when, like, in the dorms, the janitors put up the sign around the showers telling people to stop, like, urinating in the showers. But no, this is worse. That's not the funny part, dude.
Well, that part's funny,
That's
too.
funny.
We took and, like, we went and, like, copy-corrected it and marked it all up with a red pen and gave it a grade on the top, and then at the bottom wrote, "Please see me after."
Nice. That's real nice. Yeah. Okay.
That was fucked up.
You're mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back, and Sean was going to tell us about Savage 2.
Ryan's supposed to be joining me in this discussion, but you didn't. You were
Do we need to tell people what Savage 1 was? Do we need a history lesson?
I think a little history.
Explaining 2 will explain 1.
No, that's true.
If you take the idea of an RTS with its structure, the way that you basically collect resources and you have buildings and you buff units, and some units are more powerful than others, and instead of putting one person in charge of each army, you make every player in the game one of those units or whatever, and you divide the responsibilities amongst them.
And then you have somebody overseeing it on the RTS level.
A commander on each level. Yeah.
Right. But then, you know, if you imagine in an RTS game, you're commanding the different units, like the grunts or whatever.
But they could say fuck instead of zug zug.
Right.
Yeah.
They could be like eat a dick when you're like when you tell them that they need to go and like.
We need 40 more ore.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine if like you're directing your orc soldier to go over there and he's like, nah. I got another agenda.
This is actually, this is a huge part of. I mean, when we outline it this way, and you're thinking to yourself, how much can go wrong?
Sounds like a WoW battleground.
Well, it does go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a cool game. First of all, the game is only available. It's not available in stores. Go to their site. I'm not sure if it's on Steam now, but if you just put Savage2 into your browser, it'll take you to their website. You can buy the game there. It's cheap, and it's very much like it epitomizes, I don't know, the PC game for me right now, just because it's self-published and it's super complicated.
Uh-huh.
And there's just like no apologies for anyone. It's like, you're gonna figure this out. You're gonna figure it out. I mean, there's some help, tutorial and stuff when you get the game if you want, but it's not like it's not self-explanatory stuff. When you go in there, like, and you're like, okay, you shoot someone and you kill them, and that's it. I mean, there's a lot going on, and people are doing stuff, and you're like, how they're summoning creatures and they're buffing each other, and how are you doing that? Why do I just have this stupid like hammer that I just keep swinging?
Right.
I really loved Savage 1. I thought it was really ahead of its time at the time. And I didn't even mind being a grunt. Sometimes I actually kind of got into it. I don't know.
You're not always a grunt either.
Right.
If you play well, you end up becoming the equivalent of like hero units.
Because you sort of level up, right?
Mm-hmm. And with the combination of you leveling up and your commander buffing you, you can become like just a giant ogre or something, and you come like stomping down the trail and wield, in the ogre's case, wielding like a tree as a club, the cudgel of the ogre, and beating people with that. Big heavy magic casters and all these other things. It's the game's Hesh, to bring back an old word. Hesh is like comes from Hessian, but I don't know. In the era when I was in high school, it just was for any like kind of like a long hair ragamuffin, like a kind of like a rock or two, like a ripped denim vest, and the game's just Hesh. I don't know, like just got metal playing, and it's all demons and elves and stuff. It's just a Hesh ass game. Just not saying it's a good or a bad thing. It's just a Hesh thing. Something odd right now. I don't have the full version. I was playing the demo. The great idea is that you go to the site, you get 5 hours access to the game. You're like, hey, what a great way to demo the game. Except you get this nerfed ass annoying version where when you die, it's like a 20-second timer starts, and then the screen pops up and says, hey, guess what? The other people that bought this game don't have to wait 20 seconds.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Click here to buy now. And then you're picking your characters, and it's like, do you want to be like weak or weaker? And then you see like all these like other options on the right, ogres,
awesome, super awesome.
That's salesmanship, is what that is.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have bought the damn game.
You're right.
Do you want to be a commander? Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
You got to pay for the game.
You can be a pink pixie, though.
Yeah.
Here you go.
That kind of stuff is weird. It's like, let people play the game for 5 hours, and if it's great, then they want to come back, rather than tell them how much greater it's going to be if you paid for it, Seems kind of odd.
That might actually turn people off.
It
right?
could.
The
I hope
obnoxiousness
it doesn't, but I think it
try
could,
the advanced stuff, yeah.
The game itself isn't very expensive, though. What is it, like $19.99, Ryan?
$30, I think.
Yeah. I haven't played it enough to thoroughly understand it to the point where, I'm going around and maybe I'll build like a little armory so that my allies can stock up. It's got a back and forth. You play it in first person or third person. It's like the shooting, because some characters will have, like steampunk weapons and stuff, and that'll be in first person, and all the melees in third. And it's kind of like, Guild Wars or something. You have your power items listed on the bottom. You might do some big spinning attack or like a stealth stab, or like you can summon creatures if you're a changeling. It's kind of like a spy, right? You can disguise as one of your enemies or become like a leopard or something like that. Eventually your team is fielding battering rams and trebuchets and all sorts of things. Seems pretty promising. I'm definitely going to go back in, and the input I'm hearing from other people on my gaming cipher that have been playing it is that it's good and they like it and they want to play more.
I'm going to check it out. I really liked the first game. It was sadly under-recognized at the time.
The problem that I see, I'm not sure that they're going to overcome, is the whole deal with the commander. And again, you always
right.
assume when you make these kind of games, you're always assuming like you're designing for some sort of like creature disposed to live in a utopia.
Yep.
And work together.
Right.
Instead of the reality of the fact that everyone, you can only, like the opposite would be, like Valve's approach with Team Fortress is that you can only assume people are going to behave with selfish motivations. So you have to find, and Quake Wars is the same way. You have to find some way to reward people individually for everything they do.
Right.
Instead, what you get is like maybe the commander, he needs some more like points before he can do something for your team. And he'll be like, dude, give me your points, because you can click a button to give the points over to your commander.
Right.
So he becomes like a preacher in a church asking for tithe, and he's telling you like how it's going to come back to you sevenfold if you give. But he's up there doing. He's like, good things will come from above, and like he right from heaven, he can give you some extra powers, you know. But otherwise, people are like, I'm gonna give you my points,
right?
Yeah.
You know,
it sounds like something that
give you my hard money.
Just like over time, the more you play it, the more you might realize that these are valuable things to give away.
Yeah.
Or I mean, obviously, seems really suited to like clan play and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, my experience in Savage 1 was, especially in just, you know, the pickup games that I was always playing, was it like every other game like this, or I suppose like actual war itself, you know, like you would only be as good as your commander, right? I mean, if your commander was a bonehead, your team just could not do anything.
Yeah.
And it was just constantly a matter of a lot of the games I played where it was just one commander after another getting voted off, you know.
And that happens even in Battlefield.
Yeah.
In the evolution of this notion of a commander role, it's going to be interesting to see if it just sort of dies off and people give up on it like Valve did. I keep referencing them because Team Fortress 2 was supposed to have a commander mode before, you know, Battlefield 2 introduced one in that game, and they just decided against it. And the problems are that, you know, again, your commander is either so powerful that your team wins or loses on the strength of his or her play, or is so weak that it's like, why do you want to be a commander in the first place?
Yeah.
And that's basically what happens in Battlefield. The commander's pretty weak. They found a decent middle ground. The artillery is a huge bonus, right? But it can't cost you the game. If you have a team full of great players and you have an idiotic commander, the supply drops and stuff, they help, but they're not going to decide the game.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the commander is really important in Savage 2, though. I haven't played that role yet because, like I said,
in one, it was it was easily half the game, you know, if not more, you know, because he was directing all the players. You know, the whole strategy was basically coming from this one dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of Battlefield, we should probably segue to we're going to talk about our cover story.
Okay.
In the new issue.
The cab ride that we took to the
Well, I
cover
want to
story?
do that too, but I feel like as we're running out of time.
Okay.
You want to do the cab ride first? We could do that first. We'll do that first.
We're doing overtime, right?
Well, someone could be knocking at our door in
Okay.
9
All right.
minutes.
Well, let's do Battlefield, and then we'll hit
All right,
you
we're on a
with
9-minute
the other
countdown
story.
until some other bastards want this room, but we'll try to squeeze in as much as we can.
We shouldn't have saved the Battlefield part that everyone wants to hear about. So, yeah.
If it's Sports Anomaly, though, I'm telling you, we're not stopping. They can fuck off. We're going to keep going.
Okay, so
It might be the Retronauts.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Wait, do we like them again, or do we
we
hate
like them.
We like them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
We made amends with them.
Okay. Now we're enemies with Sports Anomaly. No, I
and
admitted.
Legendary Thread.
Actually, I admitted that I liked Sports Anomaly now. So
8 minutes to talk about
okay, all
Battlefield.
right. Sorry, go on.
You put me on the spot. Like,
Sorry.
so what about Battlefield? We know it's free.
Right.
What I was talking about. Well, actually, I'm not going to read the system specs, but it's going to run on a wide range of computers. It's built for like if you just get a laptop. If you got a laptop in the past few years or something, it's going to run on that.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to go and look and read the Ultimate Gaming Guide and find a $5,000 computer. It's there for you. First things first about the advertisements. Here's how it works. The advertisement in the game is cool for me because it's not just like pictures on the wall, but it's interactive, you know? Like some of the examples they gave us for this cover story is like when you're playing, there might be like a Arnold Schwarzenegger picture and then like a George Bush picture, and they're both like pumping iron, and you have to see like you have to guess like which one is gonna like do more reps in a shorter amount of time.
The fuck are you talking about?
Or like no,
That sounds cool.
no. I said, "One, you ready?" Well, another example. They're kind of dumb, but like on the back of a tank, right? They have like the equivalent of a bumper. Of a license plate, but it's a big rectangular frame, and in there they'll have 3 sets of eyebrows, and it might be like Frida Kahlo, and I don't know, a few other, like Jack Nicholson or something, and you have to guess whose eyebrows they are. So it's ads,
this is like
but
Brain
it's
Age.
fun.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so
You're being griefed, Jeff.
I'm being
griefed.
I'm being facetious.
Okay.
There are no advertisements in the game when you're playing the game. Those are all versions of shitty pop-ups and stuff. You're on a website and there's all this like hyperactive stuff going on the side.
So there's none of that.
There's none of that. The way that they're getting their money is by you playing the game. You're going to go to the game's website, and when you first go there will be advertisements on that. In addition to that, there's going to be an extensive social network, and modeled on a Facebook or a MySpace or something. And through each, you're going to have your own page, and through this page, you'll be able to look at your score, your stats, your items, your team, which I'll have to talk about because there's a metagame, your team stats, the movies you take. The game's got a battle quarter once again. You can host those and share those from your site. So there's a lot more there. We talk about what all is on that page in the cover story, but basically to get this game interesting enough so that you want to do stuff outside of it, and you're on this page, communicating with other people and doing various things, and there might be advertisements on that page too. So that, in a nutshell, is what's going to pay for it. And they expect that to be the main source of income, to the point that they think that 99 or 95 whatever percent of the people that play the game will never buy in-game items. There will be some items to purchase in the game, but all the speculation of I'm just going to be able to buy myself say a King Tiger tank where my teammate just gets a Sherman or something, that's another guarantee that they have. You're not going to be able to buy yourself you buy your way to victory.
In fact, do you buy weapons at all?
Right now, here's the other thing about this game, is it's going to be changing and developing radically every month if things go according to plan. So because of that, a lot of it's provisional. It's I don't pretend to know their plan 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. But from rollout and in this year, they're not going to be charging you for items. What instead they have in mind are this notion of a convenience item or a convenience perk modeled on things that are available in Korean MMOs and such. And an example might be that, say we're both playing, and I'm playing it every night after work, and you're only playing it in between episodes of Gilmore Girls or something. So you only get half the time to play it. And
that show's over. Duh. Hi. Welcome to last year.
So what you might be able to do is you could buy an XP enhancer so that when you play, you're going to get maybe a third or a half more XP for doing the things that you normally do.
Okay.
And that way you can catch up to the poop sockers in some capacity if you want to pay that extra. Of course, you don't have to, or you could just play it straight and you get the XP. Mm-hmm. And then the XP, of course, will allow you to unlock things. The game is, it's you've seen the look. It looks like Team Fortress 2. The thinking there, first thing, I'm kind of pausing because I'm thinking about how to approach this. The first thing when I saw it, you ask them, right? Team Fortress 2 was a phenomenal success. When did you begin work on this project, and when did the visual appearance of this game gel? They insist that it had been in the design doc stage well before Valve went public with Team Fortress 2. Take it or leave it. That's what they say. In their favor, Lars Gustafsson of DICE has always been interested in a cartoon Battlefield, even from the early days of Codename Eagle and the way that Battlefield 1942 played. Just like Team Fortress 2, Team Fortress series, where there's this fundamental absurdity to red team and blue team fighting in bases built 10 feet across from one another, and all the various insane things they do being ported in some realistic and lifelike environment. They said, while it was a World War II setting or a contemporary war setting, people were walking on wings. That was a very fun aspect of Battlefield 42. You need to ferry a teammate across a map. You just have them lay down on the wing, and you fly really carefully, and you drop them off. Putting TNT charges even before TNT charges before C4 in Battlefield 2, putting those in your Jeep and using that to blow up, jump out of it and blow something up, or putting them on a berm, driving over it and detonating it so that it launches you off a berm over the ocean and onto an aircraft carrier deck. So they're saying, let's take all these things and make a game that basically celebrates that sort of insanity. Getting hit by a tank shell, having the tank shell not immediately kill you, but throwing you 40 feet into the air and then giving you a chance to hit your parachute to sort of float safely down after that. To that effect, they want to make things they want to simplify things. Mm-hmm. So, crouching, it's not this old system of, your accuracy is improving. When you're crouching, it's improving further when you're in a prone position. The downside of that to all the Battlefield games is that they became dolphin diving games, or prone spamming games, as they were called. You basically you make visual contact with another guy on foot, you immediately hit your prone key, which I would, I think smart players would assign something like really accessible, and then you shoot first.
Mm-hmm.
And that became kind of dumb. So, there's no prone at all this time. Crouching is there, but it's not going to it's not going to improve your accuracy. It's just there for when you want to take cover or something. And instead, what it means is that your firefights are going to be a little longer. You have time to run around, chase people around corners and into buildings and stuff. Everyone has the ability to heal themselves in some capacity. Not nonstop, but, it's one of your abilities. And, likewise, it's like planes aren't going to be able to just rip. They don't have bombs on them. You're not going to be able to just kill people over and over again with impunity. If someone has a Thompson submachine gun, they can shoot at your plane and do damage to it.
Right.
It's not going to blow your plane up in a shot.
And what's the reasoning behind that?
Once again, it's pretty well known fact that at least in Battlefield 42 and Battlefield 2, aircraft were like god weapons.
Yeah,
they're called. They gave you a huge advantage. When they tried to deal with that in Battlefield 2142, they kind of went too far they nerfed it a little too much and made it so that they're not as effective. So they still want it to be good. You do a good strafing run on someone, and it's like you're going to get them. But people have the ability to take you down. The spawning system is going to be simplified. Instead of picking where you're going to go, the game is going to just decide where to put you. This is a good and a bad thing. If you're a new player, it doesn't mean sitting there staring at this map and trying to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. Recurring players, though, I do imagine that this is going to be like, I don't know. I think they're going to be upset a little bit because part of the great aspect of the Battlefield games is when they introduced the squad system and that you could spawn on the squad leader. And that means if you're like in Vent with a group of people, you can always stay together. The inability to do that was actually a trouble for us in Quake Wars, and it might be one of the reasons why we ended up not playing it long term, month after month after month. It's like, let's meet up somewhere, but someone's always going to die on the way or something, and it just falls apart. And you just find some specific role into it, but never in this like really well coordinated group capacity. So without that could be an issue. Also, games.
The idea of not letting players pick, wasn't that also to keep the action moving?
It is
so that players wouldn't spawn back at the original base.
That's another good thing, and or even just in an idiotic spot.